Hard, working really long hours when I was my own boss. The boss kept giving me the afternoon off. Sometimes he gave me the morning off as well. Sometimes he'd say, "Look, you've worked pretty hard today. Why don't you take a well-earned rest tomorrow?" If I overslept, he never rang me to ask where I was, and if I was late to my desk, he always happened to turn up at exactly the same time. Whatever excuse I came up with, he always believed it. Being my own boss was great. Being my own employee was a disaster, but I never thought about that side of the equation. When people asked me what I did, I generally mumbled that I was in advertising. I'd used to say that I was a composer or a musician, but I found this prompted a level of fascination that wasn't fulfilled when they discovered that this meant I'd written the music for the Mr. Gearbox ad on Capital Radio. There'd been a time in my life when I really believed I was going to be a millionaire rock star. When I'd left music college, I'd returned to my hometown and formed a group which played in pubs and at university summer balls. But now my creativity had to find other outlets.
Mr. Gearbox, when you need a new gearbox, right away. Mr. Gearbox is quick and don't cost that much.
A brand new gearbox?
The very same day. And it's not just gears, we can also mend your clutch.
I rolled over in bed to have the little numbers on my radio alarm inform me that it was 1:30 in the afternoon. I'd slept for 14 solid hours, an all-time record. I'd given up using the radio alarm function long ago. Alarm clocks are for people who have something more important to do than sleeping, and this was a concept that I struggled to grasp. My bedroom had evolved so that the need to get out of bed was kept to an absolute minimum. I clicked on the kettle, popped some bread into the toaster. I reached across for that day's newspaper and was slightly surprised as a set of keys slid off the top and clinked onto the floor. Then I remembered that I hadn't slept for 14 hours after all. There'd been a vague but annoying conversation very early that morning.
Excuse me, mate. Excuse me, mate. It's me, Paperboy.
Well, what do you want?
My mum says I'm not allowed to deliver the paper to the end of your bed anymore.
Oh, why not?
She says it's weird. I had to stop her ringing Childline.
What time is it?
7 o'clock. I told her you paid me an extra couple of quid a week to bring it up here and everything, but she says it's weird and I'm only allowed to push it through the letterbox like I do for everyone else. I'll leave your front door keys here.
That must have been the moment when I went back to sleep. The clink of the keys brought it back like some half-remembered dream. And as I flicked through the stories of war, violent crime and environmental disaster, I felt a growing sense of depression. Today was the last day I would ever have my newspaper delivered right to the end of my bed. I closed my eyes and drifted off back to sleep, until I was rudely awoken by somebody inconsiderate enough to ring my mobile at 2:30 in the afternoon. Hello?
Hello, Michael. It's Hugo Harrison here from DD&G. I'm just ringing in case you'd forgotten that you said you'd probably be able to get your piece of music to us by the end of today.
Forgotten? I've been working on it all week. I'm in the studio right now.
Do you think you'll be able to deliver it when you said?
Look, Hugo, have I ever missed a deadline? Look, I'm doing a remix, so you'll probably get it around 4 or 5 o'clock.
Right. Well, there's no chance that we might get it before then because we're sort of hanging around waiting to do the dub.
Yeah, well, look, I'll try. But to be honest, I was going to go out for a bite of lunch, but I'll work through if you need it urgently.
Bloody brilliant. Thanks, Michael. Speak to you later, then.
And then I lay back in bed, grabbed the remote control and watched daytime TV for an hour or two. What I'd not told Hugo from DD&G was that I had in fact completed my composition 4 days earlier, but, when someone pays you £1,000 for a piece of work, you can't give it to them 2 days after they commission it. They have to feel they're getting their money's worth.
Freedom. Safety. Liberation. Undress your mind. The sports car that thinks it's a saloon car.
I put the jingle on a DAT, ready to take into the agency later. The journey to my place of work involved walking from one side of my bedroom to the other, and before I started I generally preferred to quickly convert the room from dormitory to studio. This involved transforming my bed back into a sofa and removing any socks or underpants that I'd left on top of my keyboard, sequencer or amps. Then all I needed to do was 4 o'clock. I finally strolled into the living room where Jim had spent the last couple of years researching his PhD. Today this involved playing Time Splitters with Simon, and they both managed to mumble hello to me, though since neither of them managed to look up from the screen I could just as easily have been the creature from the Black Lagoon. A few minutes later, Paul arrived home looking exhausted after a full day's teaching.
Hello, Jim. Hello, Simon. Oh, Michael, how was your day?
It's been a bloody disaster.
Oh, no, what's happened?
Well, a bloody paper boy woke me up at dawn to tell me he's not going to deliver the paper to the end of my bed anymore. His mum thinks it's weird. I distinctly remember saying to him when we first agreed on the arrangement that it would probably be wise not to mention it to his parents.
No, I told his mother.
You? Well, what on earth do you do that for?
Well, for a start, I'm not particularly wild about you handing out the front door keys of our flat to a 13-year-old delinquent.
He's not a delinquent.
Yes, he is a delinquent, and do you know how I know? Because I teach him. Troy's in my class. And the day before yesterday, at 7 a.m, I walked out the bathroom stark bollock naked to see Troy standing there on the landing staring at me.
Well, what did you say?
Well, I said, hello, Troy. He looked a little confused, to tell the truth. I think for a moment he thought that I'd broken into this house at 7 in the morning with no clothes on just to ask him for his essay.
Well, so you bumped into him on the landing. So what? Doesn't mean you have to tell his mother.
I am his teacher. It doesn't look too good, does it? Boy visits naked teacher's flat before lessons. Besides, I do not appreciate having to tell my class that the correct pronunciation of my name is Mr. Hitchcock, not Mr. Titchycock. And so at last night's parents' evening, I told his mother that her son had a key to my flat and that morning he'd seen me naked.
Well, that probably wasn't the best way to put it.
With the benefit of hindsight, I realised I might have phrased it differently. She went mad and started hitting me with her shoe. Had to be pulled off by the deputy head.
Look, don't take it personally, Paul. We're not laughing at you.
I am.
Yeah, I am as well, actually. I don't know why they felt they needed to go to such lengths to wind Paul up when he seemed to be infuriated by the littlest things. It wasn't that Paul was petty, it was just that he got annoyed when anyone squeezed the toothpaste from the wrong end of the tube. The four of us had shared this place for a couple of years now. None of them had known me when I'd first taken the room, and in some ways that was how I preferred to keep things. It wasn't the tatty, run-down flat you'd expect four men sharing to wallow in. There was a strict cleaning rota in which we took turns to leave all the clearing up for Paul. Excuses for keeping the advertising agency waiting any longer, and so I collected the tape from my room and headed towards Balham Tube Station.
Mind the gap.
I dropped off the jingle and continued up the Northern Line to Kentish Town Tube and emerged into the evening sunlight with all the other commuters. I walked down Bartholomew Close, reached number 17... and put the key in the lock.
Daddy!
Hello, Millie, darling.
Wow, you're earlier than I expected.
Yeah, look, let me take Alfie.
Oh.
And guess what? I finished the job and I won't have to work at all this weekend.
Oh, fantastic. Well, no, then it's a double celebration because guess who weed in her potty today?
Did you, Millie?
Yeah, you didn't get any on the floor, did you, lovely? Which is better than your daddy usually manages, and he's 32.
I loved coming home when I hadn't seen them all for a couple of days. They were all so delighted to greet me. It was the return of the prodigal father. I slipped upstairs, gathering scattered toys as I went, ran a big foamy bath, turned off the light and lit a couple of candles. And then I placed the portable CD player in the bathroom and put on Beethoven's Pastoral Symphony. Catherine, can you just come here a minute?
What?
Look, I'll take over the kids, load the dishwasher and everything. You get in there and I'll bring you a glass of wine, and you're not allowed out till the end of the final movement.
Oh, but you've been working hard too. Don't you need a rest?
Well, I don't work as hard as you do.
Mommy!
I'll go.
Oh, Michael.
Yeah.
Thanks for being the best husband in the world.
When your wife says something like that, it doesn't seem like the right moment to put her straight. We've all done it. You know, we've all kept little secrets from our partners. We've all avoided telling them an awkward detail or subtly skirted over something we'd rather they didn't know. You know, we've all rented a secret room on the other side of the city where we could hide half the week to get away from all that boring, exhausting baby stuff. Oh, that last one's just me, apparently. Catherine and I had been together for 7 years now. We'd first met when she appeared in an advert for which I'd arranged the music. She just graduated with a drama degree from Manchester University, and this commercial was her first professional acting part. She was cast as one of the 5 dancing yoghurt pots. She played Fruits of the Forest flavour, and she was easily the best. It still galls me that Orange and Passion Fruit flavour went on to star in EastEnders. But she saved her best performances for when she was winding people up. On our very first date, Catherine had said she knew a lovely place for a drink and then drove me all the way to a luxurious hotel she'd booked in Brighton. And on the way down, a policeman pulled her over for speeding.
53 miles an hour in a 40-mile-an-hour zone. What do you have to say about that?
Pardonnez-moi, mais je ne parle pas l'anglais, donc je ne comprends pas ce que vous dites.
Catherine?
Oh, you break speed limit. You too fast. Driving licence?
Pardonnez-moi, mais je ne comprends rien, monsieur.
What about you, sir? You speak English?
No.
Mais Gary Lineker is very good.
Yeah, well... All right, well, drive more slowly, okay?
D'accord. Auf Wiedersehen.
Catherine and I shared a casual attitude towards deception. So to an outsider, my double life might seem like some sort of shocking betrayal, but I like to think of it as just part of the fun that we had with one another. The only trouble with the scam I was pulling was that I wasn't sure what the punchline was going to be.
I've been getting away with it all my life.
My double life had started to evolve soon after Millie had been born. For years our relationship had been perfect and happy, and I would never have imagined that anything could have made me want to run away. But then Catherine fell in love with someone else. Perhaps this is what I'd been afraid of. Maybe this is why I'd tried to put her off having kids for so long. But friends with small babies would be invited round on a Sunday, and I would have to pretend to be interested as the mother and father casually chatted about babies' bowel movements. I don't know why parents think this is an acceptable way to carry on. I mean, it's not a subject that we stray into when we politely inquire about the health of fellow adults.
Hello, Michael, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. I did quite a big poo this morning, but soon after I did another smaller one that wasn't quite so firm, which is unlike me because I normally only have one poo a day. These new parents reminded me of born-again Christians. They had a superior air that suggested my life was somehow incomplete because I hadn't heard the good news about babies. I would only be a whole person once I'd joined their throng of happy-clappy parents who went to the church hall every week to sing 'Three Little Men in a Flying Saucer.' They were delighted that our souls were to be saved when we eventually announced our conversion and that we'd see with joy and fulfilment. But to start with, my strongest sensation was an overwhelming anxiety. It was anxiety at first sight. I wasn't in love with the baby. I was in worry with it. But with Catherine, it was like first love all over again. It was an overwhelming, all-consuming, total, obsessive love. Her every waking thought was of Millie. Did you read that article about the USA trying to force Europe to import its bananas from American multinationals?
Oh, Millie likes bananas.
She put Millie's name on the answer phone.
Hello, if you'd like to leave a message for Catherine, Michael or Millie, please speak after the tone.
And being a baby who was as yet unable to use the phone or speak English, it wasn't very surprising that Millie didn't get very many messages of her own. Everything came back to the baby, even the choice of speakers for my new stereo.
Well, I think you should buy these speakers because they've got a really good bass sound and that's supposed to help relax the baby.
Oh, yeah, obviously the most important criterion when I'm buying myself a new stereo is which one is best for relaxing the baby. No, I want these ones.
Why?
Well, because the edges are rounder and, she won't hurt herself if she falls against them.
Oh, yeah, good choice.
I went from being the first love in Catherine's life to being the one who got in the way of the new first love in her life. I was no longer in a rush to get home in time to be told off for putting plastic teaspoons in the dishwasher. My home had turned into a prison. I could no longer come and go as I pleased. There were bars up on the upstairs windows. There were security gates on the stairs and monitors and locks and alarms. Any prisoner dreams of escape, and before long my absence became routine. If I was working out of town, I would always seem to end up on the later train back to London and wouldn't get home until after Catherine and the baby were fast asleep. Nothing improved our marriage like being apart. As far as Catherine was concerned, the longer I'd been in my studio, the harder I must have been working. And she was proud to have a husband who could work such long hours and yet still come home and put so much effort into his family. So I didn't feel guilty about it as I arrived back from my hard day's work dropping off the tape to the agency. I didn't feel guilty at all. Soon Millie and Alfie were asleep and the house was at peace. Catherine lay on our bed wrapped in a giant towel, soft and talcum powdered and still glowing warm from her hour-long soak. She gazed up at me.
If we're going to have more kids, it'd be nice to have them close together, wouldn't it?
This particular come-on was somehow left out of the erotic guide to sexual seduction, but Catherine had always known that she was going to have 4 kids, and she had a very persuasive argument in favour of trying for another one right now, namely that she was lying naked on a warm, soft bed. We hadn't made love for 3 weeks and 4 days, and here she was pressing herself against me and kissing me wet kisses on my lips. But I knew I had to be strong. For a few minutes' pleasure, I was not prepared to risk yet more years of sleepless nights and all the marital tension and continued deception on my part that another baby would bring. Any way that you looked at it, it just wasn't worth it. I was not going to have 5 minutes of ecstatic sexual intercourse with my beautiful wife. As it turned out, this last was quite close to a postal code which was next door to a borough which was quite near to a desirable part of London. We had no choice but to live in a tiny house. I remember climbing inside the kiddies' playhouse at Toys R Us and thinking, blimey, this is roomy. I suppose if the old lady who lived in the shoe had managed, then we would have to try our best as well. I'd never really understood that nursery rhyme until I'd moved to London. If that had been today, some developer would probably have bought the old lady's shoe and converted it into flats. Our third baby wasn't due for another 8 months and was no more than half an inch long, but it was still able to make its mother nauseous, tired and tearful. I suppose that it's an early warning that there's no relationship between the size of a baby and the scale of disruption that it can cause. Alfie had just given us both 3 terrible nights in a row, and we were completely exhausted and demoralised. I can't say that we'd been sleeping badly, because I don't actually think we were sleeping at all. The wakeful night times were totally disorientating, and then we'd lost any sense of time. How Catherine's body clock remembered to make her throw up in the morning was completely beyond me. I tried to persuade her to sleep downstairs on the sofa with the door closed, where she'd be out of earshot of the baby. I wanted her to delegate some of the sleeplessness to me before I went off to work the next morning, but she found this hard to agree to. But I kept on and on at her, and eventually she didn't even have the energy to resist my arguments. So I set her up on the sofa with a duvet and pillows before kissing her goodnight and heading upstairs to face the night time on my own. It was like an approaching storm that I entered into with nervous trepidation. Batten down the hatches, we're going into the night. Alfie was asleep in the pram, which, for reasons that once had seemed sensible but now eluded me, we carried up to the bedroom every night. He was sleeping soundly, getting his rest in now, so that he'd have as much energy as possible for the long night ahead. Silently and on my own, I prepared for bed, wondering how the next few hours might unfold, like a soldier on the eve of battle. The knowledge that I would soon be disturbed made me desperate to get to sleep as quickly as possible, so that I lay down in panicky concentration, which kept me awake far longer than usual. And then finally, I was gone. In the first hour or so, my mind would race downhill into its deepest sleep, but it was during this dreamy descent that I was always violently pulled up, jerked awake by the sudden angry scream of the baby. Tonight, Alfie was bang on cue, and I threw back the duvet and staggered over to the pram and stuck my little finger in his mouth. The crying stopped as he sucked, and I sat down on the end of the bed, still only half conscious. Rubbing my aching head, I glanced in the mirror and saw the hunched, greying figure of an exhausted man, the ghost of my former self, my thinning hair sticking up and my face creased and lined. The clock told me that I'd only slept an hour and 40 minutes, and that it was far too early to give Alfie a exhausted arm finally flopped down by the side of the bed. This was his signal to resume crying, and then, independently from the rest of my comatose body, the arm would take hold of the pram handle and start pushing it backwards and forwards again, and then this pattern was repeated over and over again. For the next hour, we took turns to almost drift off, and then I eventually stopped. Silence. Could it be that at last he was finally going to let me doze off? To let my weary, demoralised body have some rest? I lay there awake, unable to summon the enthusiasm to pull my heavy frame upright again. Catherine would normally have leapt up immediately because she didn't want Millie to be woken up by the baby, but I was never particularly convinced of the likelihood of this. Oh no, Millie, what are you doing out of bed? I picked up the baby to stop the crying, prompting Millie to hold her arms out for me to lift her up as well, which I did. And then I just stood there in the lonely nadir of the night time, balancing 2 small crying children in my arms, my tired body nearly buckling under the weight, wondering what on earth to do next. I hadn't wanted Catherine to be roused because she desperately needed to sleep. With both her children awake, she was more likely to stir, and when she did and saw that I'd allowed Alfie to disturb Millie as well, there'd be an argument, and I wouldn't hear the end of it until Catherine had her head in the toilet bowl the following morning. Millie being awake was a disaster on every front. Frightened by the volume of his sister's cries, or maybe just out of a sense of sibling solidarity, Alfie started screaming at full pitch as well. Almost panicking, I tried covering his mouth with my hand to shut him up, but unsurprisingly this didn't make him more relaxed, and he spluttered and wriggled his head, and I backed off. And then I felt fear and shame, that the boiling sense of anger and frustration within me could have been capable of covering the baby's mouth completely and holding it there until he was completely silent and still. I left them both to scream, and I turned and punched my pillow as hard as I could, and then I punched it again and again.
Oh, for Christ's sake, shut up, Alfie! Just shut up and go to bloody sleep!
Well, that should do the trick.
Oh, look, you're supposed to be asleep. I was leaving him to cry.
What, by standing over him and shouting at him?
Well, I tried everything else, and we're out of chloroform. Now, would you just go back to bed? I'm dealing with it.
Come on, Alfie.
And 15 minutes later, Alfie was zonked out in the cot beside our bed, and Catherine had abandoned the idea of sleeping downstairs and climbed in beside me. I knew that Catherine wouldn't be able to leave him to cry like I wanted, even if I'd got her to agree to the plan in principle. Here, at last, was one aspect of parenting that I was better at than her. This reversal of power was a subtle one, and might even have gone unnoticed if it hadn't been highlighted. So, at 3:46, when we were both lying there listening to Alfie screaming again, I gently and sympathetically asked Catherine if she was coping all right.
Yes, I am.
Look, I know it's hard, but soon you'll be glad I made you do it. Just try and be strong. It's for the baby's good as well in the long run.
I know. You're right, we've got to win this.
What?
We can't go on like this every night. The baby making me an exhausted wreck. We have to take control.
Well, look, all right, look, I don't mind if you really feel you have to go to.
No.
You're very brave, Catherine, but I know you want to go and pick him up.
No, I'm not going to. We are going to win this.
Do you want me to pick him up for you?
Don't you dare. Just you leave him to cry.
And I just lay there listening to the baby wailing. And with my last scrap of pride and status taken from me, I felt like joining in. It would have been better if I headed across the river there and then. Catherine would be a lot happier once I was out of the way. But there were a few practicalities that had to be sorted out first. I'd said I'd mix the baby milk, and then, of course, we had to have a full-blown marital row. After another exhausting sleepless night, it was approaching with all the depressing inevitability of a Cliff Richard Christmas single.
Level it off with a knife.
What?
You're supposed to level the spoonfuls of powder off with a knife so you get exactly the right amount.
Catherine, what is the worst that could happen if the baby milk is fractionally stronger or weaker? Will Alfie get food poisoning? Will he die of starvation?
Look, you only have to follow the instructions.
You mean I only have to follow your instructions? You know, why can't you just trust me to measure out a few poxy spoons of baby milk without watching over me like a bloody hawk?
Oh, look, just go to work. It's easy just to do it myself.
God, how do you manage to be pregnant and premenstrual at the same time? I'm going to my studio. I'll speak to you tomorrow.
Michael, I don't mind the fact that you're never here, but I do mind the fact that you don't want to be here.
That is so unfair. You think I choose to be away from the kids this much? Do you think I don't rush home to see them as soon as I can? You think I don't go to bed feeling miserable at 3 a.m. because I'm not going to see them wake up? I can't see them as much as you do because I have to go out to work. I have to work all day and night to pay for a wife and 2 children and a mortgage we can barely afford. But when you want a stupid B-day that costs £400 but is only used as a receptacle for storing plastic bath toys, the money is magically there. And it's there because I work so hard for it. I was genuinely fired up now. Catherine seemed at a loss for words. But it's not easy, you know, going to my studio, exhausted, then working 36 hours at a stretch to get compositions ready by their deadlines, writing one piece while pitching for another, working non-stop on my own in a cramped studio on the other side of town. But I have to do it. So that we can afford to have a decent standard of living, so that we can keep on living in this house. You know, I have to work this hard because it's the only way we can stay afloat. I picked up my hold-all and strode angrily towards the front door for a triumphant exit. Lying on the doormat was an envelope the shape and size of which I had come to recognise. I snatched it up and stuffed it in my bag. I didn't need to open it to know what it said. It was another warning letter from our bank. They wanted to know why the mortgage hadn't been paid for 4 months.
Why does my heart why does my soul
The Best a Man Can Get was written by John O'Farrell and starred Mark Heap, with Tamsin Gregg, Dan Chambers, Mark Huckabee, Emma Kennedy and Nick Ostler. The producer was Lucy Armitage.
Temporary financial setbacks aside, my double life was a well-oiled machine. I was living proof that of the wonderful life promised in all those adverts I wrote the music for, it really was possible to think of the most sensible and realistic course of action open to me. And then I went out and bought a lottery ticket.
Live your life your way and follow that star. Forget all your worries. Just be who you are.
Remember, your home is at risk if you do not keep up repayments. Keep up repayments. Keep up repayments. Keep up repayments.
I didn't feel guilty that I sometimes found my family so oppressive. I reassured myself that what I was doing was no worse than all the rest of the men of my generation. Some fathers stayed at work far longer than they really needed to. Some fathers worked all week and then played golf all weekend. Some fathers came home and went straight to their computers for the rest of the evening. These men were not there for their wives and families any more than I was, but at least I wasn't deceiving myself about it. Everyone was better off if I was not at home all the time. The problem was that the less I was there, the worse I was at it, and the less I seemed to want to be there. I knew I ought to give up the flat, but I just had to have an escape valve from the tyranny of babies. They brought with them a whole alien society which made me desperate to just run away. Suddenly, I found myself having Sunday lunch with all the new couples we'd met through our children. Catherine and the mothers chatted and chatted. Our children were the same age and played effortlessly together, and the other fathers and I would have nothing in common whatsoever.
So, Michael, how do you find the handling on the Astra?
The handling? Well, do you know, I've never really understood what that means.
How does it hold the road?
So that's what it means. What a completely bizarre concept. Gravity, that's how it holds the road, isn't it? No, that can't be right. Fine, pretty good, actually. Yeah, the handling on the old Astra's pretty good.
What have you got, the SXI or the 1.4 LS or what? The Astra, what model is it?
Look, I don't know or care what sodding model it is, all right? It's a car. It's got 2 baby seats in the back and lots of stains from spilt Ribena cartons on the upholstery, and there's a tape of Disney sing-along songs permanently stuck in the cassette player. Well, I don't know that much about all the technical side of cars, really.
Well, it's pretty straightforward. Is it fuel injected or not? That's what the I stands for, injection.
Well, what is it? Millie, don't snatch.
She gave it to me, though.
Really, Millie, come on, try and play nicely. Come on, let's ask Hermione to show us all the toys in her bedroom.
No.
Kids, eh? Who'd have them? And then I'd spend an hour or two playing with my 2-year-old daughter, desperately trying to make it more interesting than it was. Sometimes, when I was with them, I felt this terrible, guilty secret that I'm sure every mum and dad must feel, but dare not mention for fear of being thought a bad parent. Small children are boring. It's the tedium that dare not speak its name. I wanted to come out of the closet and stand on top of the tallest climbing frame in the country and proclaim to the world, "Small children are boring." All the other parents would look shocked and offended as they pushed their toddler up and down on the seesaw for the 100th bloody time. But secretly they would feel a huge sense of relief that they weren't alone. There was nothing wrong with them. It was their children. Their children were boring. Maybe this was why I craved the more stimulating company of my adult flatmates.
All right.
All right there, Paul. All right there, Simon.
Capital of New York State.
I'm very well, thank you, Simon. How are you?
Come on, capital of New York State.
Albany.
Oh. B-side Bohemian Rhapsody.
I'm in love with my car. You won't get me on a piece of music trivia. Happens to be my specialist subject.
OK, so which line from Bohemian Rhapsody was the title of a song that was a #1 in the same year?
Oh, get lost. You made that one up.
No, it's a well-known fact.
No, I don't know. It's Scaramouche by Will Do and the Fandangos.
No, that only got to #2.
Do you give up?
No, of course I don't give up, but as it happens, I've got some work to do. I give up.
The answer is Mamma Mia!
Ah, you said a line! That's not a line, that's just a phrase. It doesn't count.
All hail the Trivia King!
Mamma Mia, here I go again.
An outsider might be impressed by just how many useless facts Simon actually knew. However, on the debit side, he didn't know the answer to questions like, what are you going to do for a living? Or when are you going to get a girlfriend? He didn't even know that he was a bit smelly. Fortunately, the question, is Simon a bit smelly, had never come up in the science and nature category in Trivial Pursuit, although if it had, he would have been far more distressed about getting a trivia question wrong. I'd always chosen my friends in the same way that I chose what clothes to wear. It wasn't a question of what I liked or what suited me, it was just whatever was most convenient. Within the complex dynamics of the household was the added musical alliance between Jim and me. Jim and I recorded songs together just for the fun of it. There was no sense in which we hoped that these tracks would ever be released as singles. Although, since I did have some reasonable recording equipment, I thought we might as well post them off to the odd record company occasionally just for the hell of it. You know, I mean, I knew they were never going to offer us a contract, but there was nothing to lose in sending them off just for a laugh. In fact, only that morning a tape had been returned with a note that said it wasn't the sort of thing that this particular label was looking for at the moment, and that was fine, and that was what we expected. Bastards. The night before, we'd agreed that today we would lay down our 2 new songs, so while Jim tuned his guitar, I did my best to convert my room from a bedroom to a recording studio.
What are you called?
Oh, hello, Simon. Well, we haven't really settled on a name yet. Got any ideas?
We're heading towards that debate again, the eternal what shall we call our band discussion. Let's just get the demo recorded. If we start talking about band names, we'll never get any work done.
Yeah.
Okay, but what shall I put on the DAT label in the meantime?
Well, I still quite like the Extractors.
Extractors? No, it sounds too punky, like the Vibrators or the Stranglers.
No way, look, we're not getting into this again. Just put Band Untitled for the time being.
Band Untitled. Yeah, I quite like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I like that.
No, I mean put Band Untitled, meaning our band doesn't have a name yet, not here's a demo from a new group called Band Untitled.
Band Untitled. No, it's got a ring to it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's catchy, isn't it?
I'm sorry, but there is no way we are calling ourselves Band Untitled. It's the worst name I've ever heard.
Apart from Chicory Tip.
Yeah. The fatal 6 words, what shall we call our band, when said in this order, actually form an incredible magic spell that can make a whole afternoon disappear.
The Smell of Red.
No. Elite Republican Guard.
No.
Charlie Don't Surf.
Nope. Come Dancing.
Nope.
Buster Hyman and the Penetrations.
No, Simon.
Things Fall Apart.
No.
Caution, may contain nuts.
Nope.
Let Fish Swim.
No.
Ow!
No.
No, I mean ow, I just got a splinter off this chair.
After a while, your brain just becomes numb from continually searching for an original combination of 2 or 3 syllables, and through mental exhaustion, you just end up mumbling incomprehensible noises that, you know, like the blah 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 blahs.
Come on, guys, let's work. Nah, sounds too much like men at work.
Yeah, right.
Hang on. Hello?
What do you think of the name India?
No, there's already a band called India. I mean, there's already a band called India, but that's not to say you couldn't call a baby India. Catherine made me miss home. My flatmates had been so infuriating all day that now I wanted to go back to my wife and kids again. And it was now that a terrible realisation struck me, something that I'd never foreseen when I'd run away from my own family to get a bit of sanity. That wherever I was in my life, I would always want to be somewhere else. That I'd gone to all this trouble, deceived the woman I loved and got myself into debt, only to find that the things that annoyed and depressed me followed me around. It wasn't Catherine, the kids, or my flatmates that were the problem. It was me. When I wasn't being driven mad by my surrogate family or my children, there was always the third option of my father.
My old man was fairly handsome.
Dad had retired to live on his own in Bournemouth, and I didn't get round to seeing him as often as I ought to. After he got email, we communicated more regularly because he kept ringing me up to ask me why he couldn't get his email to work.
What about the net, Michael? You do the net?
You don't do the net, Dad. It's not some new dance craze like the twist or the locomotion.
Well, I can't seem to do the net either. I think there must be something jammed in my computer.
My old man.
I promised to help him with his computer and cook him a roast dinner, so that Sunday we drove down to Hampshire and I dropped Catherine off at the supermarket to get some bread and vegetables and was left looking after the children on my own as I searched through his cupboards for any gravy powder that post-dated the end of rationing. Being a war baby, Dad didn't like to throw out old food. Stale bread made perfectly good stale toast. The oil from a tin of tuna could be saved to fry anything that you wanted to taste of tuna. He'd recently had a plastic hip fitted and was disappointed that the NHS were so wasteful.
You know, they just throw the old hip joint away. I asked if I could have it for next door's dog, but it was too late.
I tried to put on the roast and listen to Dad and watch the children, but the combination proved more than humanly possible. And bang on cue, Millie dropped her beaker, and because I hadn't put the lid on properly, milk started to glug across the kitchen floor. What did Dad say to this? Don't worry, I'll clear that up, perchance, or let me hold Alfie while you deal with that, maybe?
Brian has bought a new Mondeo 1.6 with ABS and power steering, which he got from a dealership in Belgium for £12,500. How about that?
Really? Kitchen roll? What's kitchen roll?
Well, I told him I'd been thinking of getting a Ford Focus, but I'm not sure if I want to go all the way to Belgium, especially after the way they caved in during the war.
No, Millie, don't pull the cat's tail, she'll scratch you.
He's drinking my milk.
But Brian said you can get people to bring them over from Belgium for you. As far as Harwich, anyway. But I said I can't pay out any money without seeing the car first. They might bring me a left-hand drive or something, and then where does that leave me?
Oh, sorry, hang on a minute, Dad. I've just got to clear this up. Don't crawl in the milk, Alfie. You'll get your trousers wet. Oh, I told you.
But they're not just in Belgium. Brian said you can get some very good deals in the Netherlands. I mean, what do you think, Michael? Do you think it would be safe to buy a new car from Belgium?
It's all right, Alfie. Dad, I don't know. Millie, stop it!
Oh, dear, the cat scratched her arm. That'll need a plaster. But Brian says they're all right-hand drive with airbag, ABS, central locking, everything a standard, and you should see his. It's very nice, with a proper British number plate and everything. Yeah, look at the brochure.
Alfie, don't cry. It's only milk. No, Millie, wait, I have to wash it, then we can put a little mermaid plaster on it. 0% finance for 3 years, Dad, that's great. My old Dad was really just another baby in need of attention, an over-demanding infant. He even looked like a baby with his big bald head and his food stains down his front. When you're in your 30s, they both want your attention just as much, your new children and your old parents. They're like selfish siblings competing for your love.
Anywhere in the world, any time of day, your loved ones are just one call away.
Catherine and I eventually told Dad that he was to be a grandfather again, and he was genuinely delighted. And after lunch, he returned the favour by sleeping for an hour and a half at the same time as the other children. He left a small patch of damp saliva on the cushion beside his mouth. Oh, so that's where you get that habit from, said Catherine, and I was mortally wounded. I always delighted in observing aspects of myself in my children, but I took horror in seeing myself slowly turning into my dad. I consoled myself with the thought that at least I wasn't the sort of man to have a casual affair and recklessly throw away a marriage in the way that Dad had done. And then the following week I met Kate. Kate was pretty and slim and bubbly and carefree and all the things it's quite easy to be when you're not the pregnant mother of 2 small children. Kate was a friend of Jim's girlfriend, Monica. They worked together doing something I didn't understand in the city. I met her on a hot May evening at the party of a very rich man that she worked for in the crazy, carefree world of bond yields and corporate leasing. And, well, she warmed to me. She seemed genuinely impressed with my musical credentials.
Really? You wrote the jingle for the Summerfield ad on Capital?
Well, no, I only arranged it.
Monica, you know that jingle on Capital Radio? Summerfield and the shopping is easy. Lots of parking and the prices ain't high. Michael wrote that.
No, I just did the arrangement. It was George Gershwin who actually wrote the music.
Oh. Is he at the same agency as you?
The champagne continued to flow, and eventually Jim came over and told us to come down to the basement to see the swimming pool. I thought he was joking, but I followed them into the lift, because you have to have a lift to get to your underground swimming pool. And when the doors opened again, I found that we'd been transported to an echoey underground paradise. This wasn't like the municipal pool I went to with Millie. Nobody had taken the trouble to cultivate green algae between the tiles or leave blood-stained sticking plasters stewing in pools of discoloured water. There were no bad cartoons on the wall telling me what I could and couldn't do. Here, I could blow all the smoke rings I wanted if the mood took me.
Come on, let's go for a swim.
Oh, well, I haven't got any swimming costumes. Oh, I see. You mean swimming the naked, the nude, with no clothes on, as it were.
And the girls were already jumping in and swimming breaststroke with real live breasts. In my bones was a worry that cavorting with naked young women wasn't top of the 100 ways to remain faithful to your wife, but I couldn't exactly keep on my wife fronts and just paddle about a bit in the shallow end, so I blushingly followed birthday suit.
Oh, it's lovely.
Monica, grab on, we'll give these two a piggyback flight.
What?
Come on, Michael. Lift me onto your shoulders.
All right.
Long ago, the first time I'd suspected my wife was interested in me was when she leaned across and lightly brushed a hair off my jacket. Just that tiny moment of physical contact, that tentative foray into my personal space had told me that we were more than just acquaintances. And now...
How do you know Monica?
We work in the same office, remember?
Oh, right, you said, yeah. So you met her through work?
Yes.
God, I think, probably a lot of people meet other people at work, don't they?
Yes, I suppose they do.
Why is there never a great white shark to pull you underwater and swallow you whole when you need one? Oh, I like your... I was trying to remember the word pendant, so I pointed at it in the hope she might help me out.
My breasts.
No, God, no. I mean, they're very nice too. Not that I was particularly looking. But now you mention it. No. I meant your necklace thingy.
Pendant.
Yeah, pendant. That's it. I like your pendant.
Thank you. I think I'll get out and get dressed now.
Right. I'll just do one or two more lengths, and it's a good chance to get a bit of exercise.
I'd blown it. Thank God. I'd been so very close to kissing her. This basement pool had felt like another world with its own rules and morals. I travelled deep into the hills of my bachelor Narnia, almost too far to come back. At one point, I'd actually called her Catherine by mistake. Kate's reaction wasn't what I expected.
How do you know that Kate was short for Catherine?
Well, I think I probably read it in a baby naming book once. Not my baby naming book, it's a friend's, the person who was having a baby.
Which do you prefer, Kate or Catherine?
They're both lovely, but I'd probably have to say I prefer Catherine, sorry.
The next day felt like the hottest day of the summer, but because I had work to do and bills to pay, I declined Jim's invitation to join him and his mates for a barbecue on Clapham Common. 10 minutes later, I was accepting a little bottle of French lager, lying back, closing my eyes and letting the sun and alcohol carry me away. Suddenly, from my bag, I could hear my mobile phone ringing. I expected to get groans from all the pierced alternative environmentalists, but they all reached for their pockets and bags as well. It was Catherine.
Hi. Are you in your studio?
No.
Where are you then?
From the tone of her voice, I sensed that she was angling for me to come home early. I looked around me and decided that it wouldn't be a very good idea to say that I was lying on the grass in the sunshine. Nearby, a little boy was wearing a Manchester United top.
In Manchester.
Really? Whereabouts?
Oh, United.
What?
I mean Piccadilly.
Why did you say United?
Sorry, I associate Manchester with United, as opposed to Manchester City, who wear sky blue shirts.
What are you talking about?
No, sorry, look, they've just told me to hurry up because this edit suite's costing them £500 an hour.
Oh, so you won't see the kids before bed then?
No, afraid not. It's bloody murder up here. I'm going to have to rewrite something on the spot. Talk about pressure.
Oh, well, we're just going off to see Susan's new house. I'll speak to you tomorrow.
OK, give the kids a kiss from me.
I cracked open another stubby lager bottle and passed an hour there, lazily trying to make things out of the shapes of clouds. They looked cloud-shaped to me every time. Eventually I eased myself up and went a few yards into the woods and weed against a tree. The mixture of sun and lager made me feel dizzy, and I swayed slightly as I buttoned up my flies and squinted in the brightness of the sun. And then, coming through a clearing in the wood, I saw the thing that I least expected to see in the whole world. My little daughter, Millie, not yet 3 years old, wandering about in the woods, on Clapham Common, on her own.
The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round.
Well, she appeared to be perfectly happy, so I restrained my instinct to call out her name, but no matter how hard I looked, I couldn't see her mother. What was she doing down here, anyway? They were miles from home. Catherine never came south of the river. I was vaguely anxious as I hid behind a bush so that I could watch Millie without giving myself away. She must be lost. I would just watch her at a distance till her mother found her and then silently slip away. And yet, in spite of myself, I just couldn't help blurting out her name.
Millie!
Oh, hello, Daddy.
Where's Mummy?
She's...
Yeah?
Mummy?
At that moment, I saw Catherine desperately searching for her daughter with a look of terror and panic on her face. There was no way out of this situation. Catherine had lost Millie, I had found her, and only an hour ago I'd told Catherine that I was working in Manchester.
Look, Millie, there's Mummy. Go on, run to Mummy to tell her you saw a man that looked like Daddy. Go on.
Mummy? Daddy said I saw a man that looked...
I saw the moment that Catherine spotted her. She had little Alfie in one arm, but she ran towards Millie with the other outstretched and then grabbed her and burst into tears. Still hiding behind my tree, I watched Catherine get ready to leave the common. She lay the baby sling on the ground by the bandstand and put Alfie on top, and then she tied him in and hauled the baby onto her tummy and tied the straps around her growing bump. She took a bag out of the buggy and put Millie in. And as she was hooking the bag over the pushchair handles, Millie started to become hysterical, screaming and holding her arms out to be picked up. So Catherine got her out of the pushchair, and as she did so, the weight of the bag slung over the handles, tipped up the buggy, and in a violent surprise seesaw action, the whole thing upended. The bags hit the tarmac, and I heard the sound of shattering glass. Still supporting the weight of both children, she squatted down, and with her remaining free hand tried to stop the juice running everywhere else in the bag. And then I heard her swear as she cut her hand. Her fingers were bleeding as she tried to put Millie down, but being just under 3, Millie refused to see the situation from Catherine's point of view. At each step, I'd felt that I could see what was about to happen. It was like watching a series of cars bumping into one another on those compilation videos of motorway accidents. I really would have liked to have gone and helped, but it was impossible. How could I suddenly appear in the middle of Clapham Common an hour after I'd said I was up in Manchester?
Checking out the local nannies.
Oh, hi, Jim. No, just watching that woman struggling with those 2 little kids. She's her mother, actually. I'd say she...
God, who'd have kids, eh? Look at that little brat screaming. I don't think people should be allowed to have kids if they don't know how to control them.
That's not her fault. Hard on your own. You know, most 2-year-olds are like that.
Look at how she's shouting at the poor child. No wonder it's screaming.
Yeah, she's probably at her wit's end, you know, not sleeping and all that.
Yeah, single mother probably.
Catherine was now just sitting on the ground crying, defeated by it all. I'd never seen her just give up like this. Her hand was bleeding and both her children were sobbing too. And this being London, everyone else rushed past as if she was some drug addict or alcoholic nutter. Wasn't anyone going to step in and help her?
You okay, Catherine?
How on earth did you get here?
What have you done to your hand?
Oh, I cut it.
Yeah, that would explain the blood.
I wrapped my handkerchief around her fingers and she sat there gazing at me as if I was her fairy godmother and a knight in shining armour all rolled into one. 10 minutes later, we were sitting in a nearby pub garden, and I plied her with glasses of wine and the kids with endless packets of crisps. For a moment, it seemed like all was well again.
So why did you say you were in Manchester?
Sorry. Manchester? No, Manchester Street. I said I was in Manchester Street, you know, in the West End.
But you said you were in Piccadilly.
Piccadilly Circus, yeah.
Oh, I got it into my head that you'd gone up north for work again. Michael.
What?
I'm not happy.
Sorry?
I'm not happy.
Well, is the wine too sweet? I did ask for a dry one.
With my life. I'm not happy.
What do you mean you're not happy? Of course you're happy.
I'm not. I felt guilty about it, so I kept it to myself, but it's just such a strain. It's like there's something missing that I can't put my finger on.
No, it's just a drink talking, Catherine. You know, you're feeling tired, a bit drunk, and suddenly you think you're not happy. But believe me, you are one of the happiest people I know. Now, come on, Millie, that nappy needs changing. I'll do it. Honestly, you know, next you'll be saying you can't cope with the children.
I can't cope with the children.
Stop it, Catherine. It's not funny. Millie, stop wriggling, will you?
I'm not joking.
You do cope with the children. You cope brilliantly. Millie, would you lie still? Look, maybe occasionally they feel a bit overwhelming, but generally speaking, you know, you like having me out of the way.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
I don't.
Stop it, you naughty girl.
Are you talking to me or to Millie?
Catherine, you're pissed.
Off. I am pissed off.
Look, I understand you've had a lousy day and that the kids can be wearing, but you have always said how much you love being at home with them.
Yeah, that was for your sake. I thought if you were under all that pressure at work, then the last thing you needed was to have me moaning about being at home.
Oh, you're just saying that.
It's true. It's miserable being on my own half the week. You know, sometimes when I feel like I've already done a day's work and I look at the kitchen clock and it's only 10 o'clock in the morning and I think, well, oh well. You know, only 9 hours till they're in bed.
She's just saying that because you feel miserable at the moment. I know you cope really well when I'm not there.
I don't.
I'm telling you, you do. I know you do.
How do you know? How do you know better than me how I cope when you're not there?
I'd never seen Catherine like that before. That night, I lay wide awake in bed, staring at her sleeping beside me. I fluffed up the pillow and I pulled up the duvet, but it wasn't the bedding that was making me uncomfortable. The picture of her sitting on the ground and crying just kept coming back to me. There's something missing that I just can't put my finger on, she'd said. An hour later I listened as Alfie began to stir for his feed. Now that he was 9 months old, he generally only woke once in the night, and although the chances of Catherine being stirred from her wine-soaked coma were frankly quite slim, I went downstairs and warmed up his baby milk before he started to cry. I took a swig to check the temperature and then spat the disgusting chalky pond water out into the sink, but it left a bad taste in my mouth. As we sat together in the half-light of the nursery and he sucked eagerly on the bottle, he suddenly opened his eyes as if he'd just realised something very important. He stared at me as he fed, and I risked a gentle, "Hello, Alfie Adams." And he just carried on drinking and staring. He seemed so completely trusting and innocent, so completely dependent on my care that I felt like I'd somehow let him down. And as I looked into his big blue eyes, I imagined for a moment that he knew everything about me, that he understood why his mother felt isolated and abandoned, and he was just staring sternly at me as if to say, "What on earth do you think you're doing, Dad?" "I'm sorry, Alfie," I said. I'm really sorry." And his eyes closed and he fell asleep, and I put him back in his cot. And then I lay in bed, knowing that nothing could ever be the same again.
The Best a Man Can Get was written by John O'Farrell and starred Mark Heap, with Tamsin Gregg, Dan Chambers, Mabel Hoskins, Mark Huckabee, Emma Kennedy, Nick Ostler and Roger Sloman. The producer was Lucy Armitage.
You're looking sharp, you're looking good, you've come so far, and we know how to make the most of who you are.
The adverts told us we could have it all. We could be great dads and still go off snowboarding with our mates and earn lots of money and pop out of the business meeting to tell our children a bedtime story on the mobile phone. But it can't be done. Work, family and self. It's an impossible Rubik's Cube. Something has to give. In my case, everything.
Gillette, the best a man can get.
Now that I knew that Catherine had been miserable all the time she'd been on her own, I felt like a man having an affair. Only it wasn't an affair with a younger woman. It was an affair with a younger version of myself. Just as some men get back in contact with old girlfriends after they're married, I'd met up again with the 20-something Michael Adams. Well, I made you feel young again. I understood all your problems. Sure, and we've still got a lot in common. We like to do the same things. It's just that whenever I mention my wife and children, you go all prickly and defensive. I do not. You do. You don't want to know about them. And you have to understand I have certain responsibilities. So what are you trying to say? I'm sure we could still meet up from time to time. What, so I should just spend the rest of my life waiting around for you to call me? I don't want to lose you as a friend. I loved the happy, carefree times I'd spent with the unmarried version of myself, but I couldn't handle the secrecy and the lies anymore. I couldn't keep it bottled up any longer. Hello?
Hi, it's me. You okay? You sound a bit down.
Oh, I'm fine. Look, Catherine, I haven't been straight with you. We're badly in debt. I've been deceiving you about how hard I've been working. Basically, I've just been living it up here for the past couple of years while you've been struggling with the babies. Catherine, say something. Catherine!
Sorry. Millie, you pressed the button down on the thing. So you're all right, are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, but I'll probably be back in time to see the kids tonight.
Great. You just sounded a bit subdued.
Yeah, well, and I just wish I was there already. At least this wasn't a lie. Apart from the knowledge that Catherine really did want me there, Millie was getting more delightful every week, and I would wake up in the flat with a slightly empty, disappointed feeling. But tonight I couldn't go home until I'd finished arranging a vital 8-second piece of music that was urgently required to assist in persuading people to visit World of Bathrooms.
In all the bars and all the gin joints in all the world, she had to walk into mine.
When she could have gone to World of Bathrooms, Pearly Way, Croydon, Bluewater and Lakeside Thurrock.
Catherine had come out of the tired stage of pregnancy and had now flipped over into the manic nesting phase. I tried to assuage my guilt by suggesting that she should be resting, that she should leave it all to me. But she heroically climbed up and down the step ladder, lovingly painting the nursery walls as the paint splattered down on her growing bump. Obviously, there were some things that she physically couldn't do herself that needed the strength and technical expertise of a handyman. Which was when she would turn to me and say, "Michael, pop next door and see if Klaus and Hans can give us a hand." I could usually just about manage that. Klaus and Hans were 2 German students who lived next door that Catherine got round on a regular basis to make me feel useless.
You have the set of Allen keys, Michael, yet?
Oh, don't think so.
Yeah, you have, in your toolbox.
Allen keys, you sure?
Yes, yeah, they're in the little compartment with the spoke shave, yeah?
Spoke shave. What's a spoke shave? Klaus knew the English for spoke shave. I still don't know what a spoke shave is or how I even came to be the owner of one. They mended the lawnmower, they unblocked the sink, they stopped the radio alarm. Well, the next campaign to have new kitchen units would begin. I optimistically suggested to her that the nursery wallpaper would be fine for another year or so, but she dreamily remarked that it wouldn't be fair if we didn't make it as nice for the next 2 kids as it had been for our first 2.
The next 2 kids?
Well, yeah. Well, although, sooner or later we're going to have to move to a bigger house, aren't we?
A bigger house?
Bigger house. Interesting.
Why, we're not overdrawn or anything, are we?
I responded with an over-emphatic no in the deadly serious look straight ahead and broach no debate way that I normally reserve for squeegee merchants offering to clean my windscreen at traffic lights. Catherine generally took little interest in the balance of our financial affairs. She did once attempt to pay off an overdraft by writing out a cheque from the same account, but generally her only financial worry was that when the sun was shining, you couldn't read the screen on the cash dispenser. I wanted to tell her about the double life I'd been leading and explain how I'd got into so much debt, but she was making such an effort to appear happy all the time that I didn't have the heart to spoil it. In fact, it never felt like the perfect moment to announce, "Actually, darling, this decorating we're doing is a complete waste of time because guess what? I haven't been paying the mortgage." They say that honesty is always the best policy. Well, that's fine when the truth's all nice and lovely, then it's easy to be honest. But what if you're the mystery second gunman in the Kennedy assassination? In that case, honesty is clearly not the best policy.
So, Frank, you ever been to Dallas before?
Yes, I came here once to shoot John F. Kennedy from behind the grassy knoll.
I wanted to be with him as much as possible, but suddenly financial demands meant that I always seemed to be trapped in my studio, living the life that Catherine thought I'd been living all along. So now, reluctantly finding myself back in my bachelor pad, I turned on my computer and keyboard, determined to complete the work in time to get home early that evening. I'd just get myself a cup of tea, and then I'd be ready to begin.
Cup of tea, anyone?
No, not for me. Here, Michael, we're playing Beat the Intro. I'll give you an easy one to start.
No, you're not getting me into that. I've got work to do. Oh, hang on, anyway, that's easy anyway. That's such an obvious and famous intro that anyone could get that right away. It's... what's his face? Thingy.
Thingy?
Oh, you know it. Oh, God! Such a famous track. 1970s... huge hit. Look, I'm not playing this, because once I get sucked into this, the whole afternoon will disappear, and I'll end up working until 2 in the morning again. No, don't stop. I'm just about to get it.
No, look, you have to name the song before the lyrics come in. That's the rules.
No, I'm not playing. Play it again.
Oh, it's so obvious.
Come on, you must know this.
Yes, I do. It's like, Neil Young, isn't it?
Neil Young.
Oh, give me a clue.
It was the first song ever to get to #1 after being re-released.
Well, that doesn't help, does it? It's, This is the first song to be released and then...
There was a sequel to the song recorded 11 years after the original, which also went to number 1.
Shh. I nearly had it then. It was just coming to me and you made me lose it again. A sequel to a song. God, what on earth was it?
And it was taken from an album of the same name.
A debut album. This is ridiculous. I've got a lot of work to do and I don't really care one way or another. Just play it once more.
Ground control to Major Tom.
My name's Michael Adams, and I am a trivia-holic.
Oh, brilliant.
Great.
Well done.
Great. Excellent. I'm taking one day at a time, but I'm finding that there are certain social situations where I find it really hard to resist the thrill of a quiz question answered correctly. In my imaginary self-help group, the other trivia-holics are seated around in a circle, nodding and smiling at me sympathetically as I relate my experiences.
There's no buzz like it. It's like a miniature mental climax, isn't it? A little cerebral orgasm.
Yeah, and before you know it, all your money will have disappeared on pop quiz books and you've lost all your friends after a huge argument about the imprecise wording of one of their trivia questions.
And anyway, I'm trying to give it up, I really am, but it's hard, because on every channel there's University Challenge or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and I can't believe that the contestant doesn't know which line on the London Underground map is coloured pink.
Hammersmith and City! Oh, sorry. I couldn't resist it.
The Beat the Intro round ended up turning into a very heavy all-night session. It was hours before I was back in my studio, and in the end I didn't finish my piece of music until about 3 a.m. Before I flopped into my single bed, I left a pathetic text message on Catherine's mobile explaining that my work had taken longer than I'd hoped.
My, oh my, you know it just don't stop. It's in my mind, I want to tear it up. I'm trying to fight it, trying to turn it off, but it's not enough.
The deception involved in my double life had been tiny when it began. No one would have noticed it. I could barely remember the moment of conception, the moment I released a tiny seed of dishonesty into my marriage. But somehow it had latched on, and then it just seemed to grow and grow until it became as obvious as the bulge under Catherine's T-shirt. When a baby gets to a certain size, it has to come out. The same is true for a lie. By now, its gestation had reached such a stage that I was starting to feel contractions. I couldn't keep it in much longer. I got out of bed and started to write it all down. How I was deceiving Catherine and had been doing so for years. How I'd felt excluded when the babies came along. How I'd suddenly felt like a gooseberry, gate-crashing a private love affair between Catherine and our children. The more that I wrote down, the more I wanted to share this with someone. And eventually my confessional turned into an extended letter to my father. I told him about everything that had happened since the children had come along. How I'd spent endless days in my room making compilation tapes while Catherine had struggled through the hardest years of being a parent. How Catherine had thought I'd been working 16 hours a day when really I'd been having naked piggyback fights with beautiful young girls and boozy barbecues on Clapham Common. How I'd tried to have everything, the love of a family and the liberty of a single man, the commitment of children and the carefree wastefulness of youth. As it turned out, I never really talked to Dad about the enormous revelation that I'd sprung upon him. I suppose the therapeutic act of writing it all down and posting it had been what was important, so in that sense the letter had already done its work. But by the time I spoke to Dad again, what he thought of it really didn't matter, because when Catherine got to read the letter, her reaction rather overshadowed everything else. I hadn't told Catherine that I'd suddenly be arriving home with a van load of equipment to squeeze into our already cramped home, because she only would have dissuaded me. I'd tell her that I'd got suddenly fed up of being away from her and the kids so much, and had spontaneously decided to give up my studio and work at home, which felt quite strange because it was almost true.
Hi, we're here for the farewell party.
Oh, right, come on in.
Who is it we're saying farewell to?
Well, it's me, actually.
Oh, how do you do? Pleased to meet you.
My flatmates had thought my last night in the apartment was sufficient excuse for a party, even though they'd no idea what a big deal this really was for me. I'd never told any of them that I was married, and I thought they must have always wondered where I slept the other half of the week. I had an elaborate story prepared to explain why I was moving out and where I was going, but none of them even bothered to ask. I think I was gradually realising that I didn't really have any friends, just blokes who shared all the same disinterests as me. But then halfway through the evening, I saw Simon making his way towards me, looking like he had something important to say.
Michael, before you leave us, there's one thing I've always wanted to ask you.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
Well, Which is the only football club which contains no letters that can be coloured in?
Eh?
You know, when you're colouring in letters, like filling in the O's, the A's in the newspaper, well, which is the only English or Scottish football league club whose name contains no letters that can be coloured in?
Simon, that is just the most pointless question I've ever heard. Who is it?
Well, work it out.
No, it's stupid, and this is my farewell party. I am not going to waste my time and energy even thinking about it.
Okay.
QPR.
Nearly. Except you can colour in the Q, the P, and the R.
All right. Bury.
You can fill in the B.
Oh, yeah. East Fife. No. Ipswich. No. In a way, that farewell party was a milestone in my life. It was my paternity bar mitzvah. It was an evening that was dominated by one overriding thought, not, am I doing the right thing, or will this make me happy, but which is the only English or Scottish League football club that contains no letters that can be coloured in?
So, Michael, whereabouts are you moving to?
Fulham. Yes.
Fulham, eh?
Oh, no, not Fulham.
Why not?
Oh, well, no, you can colour in the letter A, can't you? I danced self-consciously at 9 o'clock and a little less self-consciously 2 lagers later. I couldn't help but notice that I was easily the oldest person there. Half of them sported flared trousers like the ones I'd worn first time round. I just had a few more hours of pretending to be a 20-something bachelor. If anyone asked, I couldn't remember when Elvis died. Elvis who? The Falklands? What was that? At midnight, I said goodbye to a few people, but since everyone was so drunk they'd forgotten the original reason for the party, I didn't feel too antisocial for just slip. Catherine had become such a light sleeper that I found myself tiptoeing around downstairs, trying not to breathe too noisily. There was a cassette on the kitchen table, which meant that Catherine had remembered to tape the radio programme I'd asked her to record. But she hadn't. Catherine's own voice suddenly came on the tape.
You bastard. You lying, selfish, cowardly, lazy, lying bastard. You want to live away from me and the kids? You want to have your own space? Well, you've got it, you pathetic... Oh, just drop dead.
I ran upstairs. Our bed was empty. The kids' room was empty. Catherine's side of the wardrobe was bare. Some toys and most of the kids' clothes had gone too. There was a barren hotel room neatness to it all. I stood staring around the space in bewilderment.
You want to live away from me and the kids? You want to have your own space? Well, you've got it. Just drop dead.
My mind was in freefall. And then from nowhere it suddenly came into my head. Hull City. The answer to Simon's trivia question was Hull City. My wife had walked out on me in the breeze, and the bluebird pendulum still swung maniacally back and forth under its rainbow clock. But the little isolated pockets of movement only served to emphasize how lifeless and eerily quiet the children's room seemed without them. I didn't want to change anything. It was all ready for them whenever they wanted to come back. I still had to push open the baby gate to get down the stairs. I still had to negotiate the child locks to open the cupboard. The only slight change I made was to scramble the colourful magnet letters on the side of the fridge where Catherine had spelt out bastard at eye level. I wonder how long she'd searched for a letter S before making do with a number 5. I was the lonely caretaker for a family show home, furnished accommodation all ready for my wife and children to move into any day that they fancied. It had everything they needed, every safety precaution that it was possible to buy to prevent any possible damage being done to our precious little ones, except for the one minor mishap of their parents splitting up, of course. OK, so the kids grow up without a father, and Mum will become lonely and poor and bitter, but at least the little ones never fell down those 3 steps by the kitchen, and that's the main thing. As long as there are no external scars, as long as the damage isn't visible. And through here, Dad's where the children slept.
Oh, very nice. I like all those clouds painted on the ceiling. Did you do that?
No, that was Catherine.
Oh.
And that's where Millie slept, and that's where Alfie slept.
Oh, I see, yes. Who is this on the eiderdown?
On the duvet, that's Barbie, and that's Ken there.
Oh, is Ken Barbie's husband?
Well, I don't think they're married. Ken's just her boyfriend. It might possibly be her fiancé. I'm not sure. Actually, they've been going out for about 30 years now, so if Ken hasn't popped the question yet, she ought to start getting worried. Haven't touched anything since Catherine walked out on me.
I thought you said she took the car.
OK, it was since she drove out on me then.
So where were you when she drove out on you?
I was just loading up all the stuff from my flat to drive back here.
So how did she get hold of the car?
What?
How did she get hold of the car if you were loading up your things?
I wasn't using the car. I'd rented a van, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, I see. Because you knew that she was going to need the car to take the kids and all their things to her mother's.
No, of course I didn't know, or I would have tried to stop her.
So why didn't you use the car to move your things out of the flat? You can get quite a lot in an Astra, can't you? Especially a hatchback.
Look, there was quite a lot of stuff. It would have needed 2 journeys. Forget about the van. And this is Catherine in my bedroom. Strange waking up in this double bed every morning all on my own.
So is it very expensive? Hiring your own van?
What?
Is it expensive? Renting a van to move all your things?
Well, I don't know. Yes, it cost £1 million. Dad, it really doesn't matter about the van.
You're not still renting it now, are you, to get around in, now that Catherine's taken the car?
No, I am not still renting the bloody van, although I wish I was, and then I could run you over with it.
Hey, there's no need to be like that.
Yeah, well, if you hadn't shown my letter to your bloody girlfriend, then she'd never have sent it to Catherine, and my wife and kids would still be here.
Well, I think that's a bit unfair. I mean, it was you who was deceiving your wife, not me.
Yeah, well, at least I didn't run off with a younger woman and walk out on my 5-year-old kid.
That's not fair, Michael. It was more complicated than that. Your mother and I were both to blame for the marriage not working.
Oh, yeah. Blame Mum like she's in a position to defend herself, isn't she? Maybe she'd still be alive now if you hadn't walked out on us. There was a brief moment of silence while Dad stared impassively into my eyes, and then he got up, picked up his coat, put on his hat, and walked out of the door. Magic moments. As I finished off the lunch that I'd intended for both of us, I remembered why I'd finally invited Dad to come up to London in the first place. I'd been planning to explain the situation with the mortgage and then ask him if there was any way he could lend me a rather large amount of money. So, that had all gone according to plan then.
Forget all your worries. Just be who you are.
The only punctuation in those long and lonely weeks were the short meetings with the children, which Catherine icily granted me. No, Millie, not on the big slide.
It's all right, Millie. You can go on the big slide if you want. Well, you're going to go and play with them. That's what you're here for.
Right, yeah. Shall I chase you around the climbing frame, Millie?
No.
Would you like me to push you on the swings?
No.
I've got you!
What are you doing?
Sorry, must have just grabbed her too hard. Out of practice. Catherine, why don't you come home?
But this is just what you wanted, isn't it? To just see us occasionally, have your own space the rest of the time. You still get to see them and play with them, but you don't have to do any of the boring hard work. All that's different now is you've got a bigger bed to lie in all day.
That's not fair. Look, I don't know. Maybe it was just a bit difficult for me to adjust to being a parent.
You don't think it was hard for me to adjust? Giving up work, giving birth, and then suddenly being stuck in a house on my own all day with a crying baby. You don't think that was a big shock for me to suddenly be ugly and fat and tired and bursting into tears? Trying to breastfeed a screaming baby with blood coming out of my cracked nipples and no one there to tell me it was okay and tell me I was doing all right even when the baby wouldn't feed or sleep or do anything but scream for days on end. Well, I'm sorry it was so bloody hard for you to adjust, Michael. I'm really sorry you found it so hard to be in the same house as your wife when she was going through hell, but it's okay because you could just leave. You could just naff off whenever you felt like it, lie around with your mates having parties and watching videos and leaving your mobile turned off just in case your wife wanted to cry down the phone to you.
Thought it would help our marriage.
Well, that worked well, didn't it?
And she took the kids and left me sitting on my own in the children's playground. Butterness, it tastes like butter, but the fat is less. Butterness. I think they're going for a sort of butter theme here. It's a shame the advert will be legally required to feature a large disclaimer saying not butter, but that's not my problem, is it, Puss? Since I'd been living on my own, I'd taken to talking out loud to the cat. The cat was my soulmate, my friend. Until one day she walked in through the cat flap wearing a bright red new collar. She sniffed her food bowl, didn't fancy it, and went out again. I was devastated. Kat had another home somewhere else. She was living a double life. I felt double-crossed, jilted, rejected. Worst of all, I'd been satirised by a bloody cat.
Right, Puss, Butterness.
Where's the guide track? Had the agency deliberately engineered it so that I'd be forced to sing Happiness over and over to myself when I was feeling at my most miserable?
Butter, what does that put one in mind of? Disco? No. Swing. Could try the old Europop.
None of them reminded me remotely of butter, but then I don't suppose New Butterness would have done either. It was hard to forget about the children with them all smiling at me from the frames on the mantelpiece, so I got up and turned all the pictures face down. I went and sat down and decided that this looked awful, like I was rejecting their existence or something, so I got up and put all the photos back as they were again.
Come on, Michael. Butterness. It tastes like butter, but the fat is less.
Oh, I just gotta ring the agency, see if they definitely need this by 6 o'clock.
Hello, this is Sue Paxton on 74354563. I'm not at my desk at the moment, though you may be able to reach me on 74355511. If you need to speak to me urgently, try my mobile 07375 348 307 or my pager 0207 746 2130 number 894. You can fax me on 0207 345 0983 or reach me by email at...
40 minutes later, I was lying on my back at the top of the stairs with my legs dangling over the first few steps. Most of the day had disappeared. I realised that if I didn't get going right away, I was going to miss a deadline for the first time in my professional career. And so I really knuckled down, and finally, I managed to get the original tune out of my head and reverse the chords, and it's going round in my brain. Quick, get it down, record it now before it's gone. And then the phone went, and it was Catherine cancelling tomorrow's meeting at the Swings, and I was furious and powerless and rude and pathetic, and I hung up and walked round the house kicking items of furniture until the phone rang again.
Catherine?
Mr. Adams?
Who's that?
Mike Arnott, C&P Bank.
Oh, sod off.
Hello.
It's Mike Arnott, C&P Bank again. I'm afraid I've been instructed to inform you that today the bank has sent you a letter advising you that we have authorised the solicitors to execute warrant of possession of 17 Bartholomew Close.
Look, I'm sorry I swore at you, but you can't repossess my house, because keeping the house is the only chance I've got of getting my family back. You see, because I've got 2 small kids and a third one on the way, and their mum's left me to live with her parents, but she can't stay there forever. You know, eventually she'll have to come back home, and that's when she'll see that I've changed. And, you know, we'll all be together again, because that's all that matters. But that can only happen if I've still got the house, you know, if there's still a house to come back to. So, you see, I have to stay here, I have to keep the house.
As I say, I've been instructed to inform you that we will be executing warrant of possession of 17 Bartholomew Close.
So I'm being evicted?
Yes.
Butterness, tastes like butter, but the fat is less. Butterness, it tastes like butter, but the fat is less. Butterness, it tastes like butter, but the fat is less. Butterness.
The Best a Man Can Get was written by John O'Farrell and starred Mark Heap, with Tamsin Gregg, Dan Chambers, Mark Huckabee, Emma Kennedy, Nick Ostler and Roger Sloman. The music was composed by Simon Davison, and the producer was Lucy Armitage.
Yeah. Butterness, it tastes like butter, but the fat is less. Butterness, it tastes like butter, but the fat is less.
For choosing the C&P, my name is Emma. How can I help you today?
Well, you've just repossessed my house, and I didn't give you the spare keys, so I thought I'd drop them in.
Oh. Hang on, I'd better get the manager.
No, don't worry, it's all right. He's had the paperwork. Can't stay. Got to find somewhere to sleep tonight.
Is there anything else I need to know?
Yes, the downstairs toilet. You have to give it one slow flush and then flush it again very quickly straight away.
Right. Thank you for your custom this morning. Have a nice day.
Strangely, I didn't have a very nice day. I spent the afternoon just walking aimlessly round the streets of London. When I was renting my secret flat to escape from the exhausting misery that is small children, I would have relished all this free time. But since Catherine had found out about my double life and walked out on me, I suddenly found I had all the leisure time in the world. I had with me a hold-all that contained a few clothes, toiletry bag, and the time-out guide to London. All my other possessions and all the contents of the family home were crammed into my next-door neighbour's garage.
Oh, you are lucky. Having a fridge with such a big freezer compartment.
Yeah, well, would you like to borrow it? I could put it in your kitchen instead of your garage.
Oh, no, I didn't mean it like that. Oh, the microwave. Oh, you are a lucky thing.
Yeah, well, I'll stick that up here if I may.
Oh, that's a nice lamp.
Mrs. Conroy kindly said I could leave everything there for as long as I wanted. Klaus and Hans were no longer lodging with her and had gone back to Germany, so no one used the garage anymore. She'd given me boxes to put things in, and sandwiches and cups of tea when I was exhausted from dragging sofas and mattresses up her driveway, and my own key to the garage for when I needed to pop over and get anything. Thanks very much, Mrs. Conroy. I'm really grateful. I'll be in touch.
Are you sure you'll be all right?
Me? Yeah, fine.
You weren't around very much, were you?
It occurred to me that the fact that I had nowhere to sleep gave me the perfect excuse to present myself to Catherine as someone she might take pity on.
Well, if you're made homeless, you could always come and stay with me.
If she'd ever said that, I'm sure I would have remembered it.
I've only got a single bed, sweetheart, but hey, that'll make it all the cosier when you cuddle up next to me.
Nope, didn't ring any bells. My father wasn't an option either. Apart from the fact that he lived in Bournemouth, a surfeit of masculine pride on both sides meant that we'd not spoken to each other since he'd walked out of my kitchen. And anyway, I couldn't bear the idea of telling him what had just happened.
You've handed the keys to your home over to the bank, but, did you make sure the keys were clearly labelled?
Then there was the option of my former bachelor pad, but events had moved quickly there after I left. Jim and Paul both moved on, leaving Simon to find 3 more flatmates, and in the desperate hope of finally losing his virginity, Simon had organised 3 women tenants. But it hadn't worked out quite as he'd planned.
All I did was show them my favourite erotic sites on the internet, and they changed all the locks and put my belongings on the front doorstep.
Yes, I could think of to go. On the day that your first child is born, you should go through your address book, and wherever you come across friends who don't also have babies, just tear out their names there and then. It'll save her looks in a mock Irish pub, but there was no reply. And there was still no reply 3 pints of Murphy's later. I wandered along the edge of Clapham Common, spotted a bench and sat down. I was drunk. I was tired. Then I finally conceded what had happened to me, and I shifted my body round so that I was lying on the bench. The last piece of post that I'd opened at home was a magazine from my old university, and as always I'd turned straight to the Where Are They Now section. Maybe now I could have filled it out. Here I am, sleeping on a bench in Clapham Common.
Into each life some rain must fall, but too much is falling in mine.
Despite the wind and the occasional mocking laugh from the mallard ducks on the boating pond, I did actually fall asleep quite quickly. But in the middle of the night, the drink and the drizzle started to make themselves felt, and I came round feeling damp and dehydrated at the same time. As always, when you wake up in a strange place, there's a split second while you try to remember where you are. And when I realised that the shivering and all the aches that I'd felt were due to the fact that I'd been sleeping on a park bench, I became so overwhelmingly depressed that I almost felt like throwing myself under the first vehicle to come past, but this turned out to be a milk float. And then, in the depressed introspection of the small hours, my mind wallowed out into that dangerous quicksand of self-pity. All that I wanted, in fact, all that I had wanted all along, was the love and respect of Catherine. Just to be really sure that the woman I loved me back. In my self-centred universe, I'd only ever seen her as a planet revolving around me. That misconception was sustainable until the children came along, but then the physics were suddenly exploded. I couldn't accept it. I still tried to force myself back into the... As I opened my eyes, there was a tramp sitting on the next bench, grinning at me and enjoying a refreshing early morning drink of warm lager.
You look a bit rough there, mate.
Yeah, I just needed to sit down for a bit.
And then you just lay down and spend the night here. This is my bench, see? But you were fast asleep, so I'll let you have it. Drink?
Special brew. That's very kind. Think I might wait till after breakfast if that's all right.
I've not seen you sleeping around here before.
Well, of course you haven't. I'm not homeless.
Oh, sorry, Your Majesty. So, where do you live then?
Well, don't live anywhere, just at the moment, but as it happens, until very recently, I had 2 homes.
Oh, so you used to have 2 homes and now you got none. Sounds about fair to me.
I've got 2 children as well, actually. 3rd one on the way.
Oh, what a lucky girl. I mean, you look like a hell of a catch for any woman.
Yeah, well, we had a big bust-up, but I'm going to ring her. We're going to ring her right now from that call box over there.
Go on, then.
And she's going to take me back, because I am not homeless or a beggar or anything.
Sure. Go and phone your wife.
Well, I would, but, can you... got 20 pence apiece for me? Hello, Millie. It's Daddy. How are you?
Do you like my hat?
Oh, it's a lovely hat. Is it Granny's?
No. Granny's isn't a pirate.
Right. Look, is Mummy there, darling? Millie, I can't see you nodding or shaking your head from here. Can you put Mummy on the phone? Hi, Catherine, it's me. Look, we've got to talk, because I know you must hate me and everything, and I can understand that from where you are, I can't look like the most wonderful bloke in the world, but I'm not the worst, you know, and the thing is, I love you, and Jesus, men have slept with other women and their wives have forgiven them, but I've never done that, and Christ, I mean, even when I masturbate, I always try and think of you.
It's not Catherine, Michael, it's Sheila. Please don't use the Lord's name in that way.
Oh, sorry, Sheila. God, you sound just like her on the phone.
Please do not take God's name in vain.
Well, can I speak to Catherine, please?
No, you can't. She's not here.
Well, could you just tell me where she is, please?
I'm not sure I should.
Look, for crikey's sake, Sheila, she's still my wife. She's 9 months pregnant with our 3rd child. I think I've got a right to know where she is.
She's at St. Thomas's Hospital. She went into labour at 5 o'clock this morning.
Oh, why didn't you say so, for Christ's sake?
Please don't use the Lord's name in that way. Michael.
A car tooted and swerved as I ran across the traffic crossing Clapham Road. I'd run 2 miles and felt close to collapsing when I saw the orange beacon of an approaching taxi and manically waved my hand. Hi, look, sorry. I've got no cash on me, but my wife's in labour at St. Thomas's, and if you could just give me a lift up there, I can post you a cheque for twice the fare.
Hop in. I've got 2 myself, little monkeys. I'll get you there double quick and there's no charge. This one's on me.
Well, that's what I'd been hoping you might say.
Drop dead, you filthy scrounger!
I resumed my marathon dash across South London, occasionally swapping my hold-all from one hand to the other and then eventually just dropping it in a litter bin. The exertion increased my feeling of nausea. I felt dizzy and sick and could feel the sweat running down my back and soaking through my overcoat until finally I arrived at the entrance to St. Thomas's Hospital. Hello. I've come to see Catherine Adams, who's giving birth here at this very moment, and I'm her husband, and I didn't come in with her because I wasn't with her when she suddenly went into labour, but I have to get up there right away, and excuse me, I'm just going to have to be sick in this little bit. The hospital receptionist obviously saw people being sick on a fairly regular basis, as he was completely unfazed by this. And as I rested my head on his desk, he called the labour ward to confirm my version of events.
Yes, he's down here at reception. He's just been sick in the litter bin, and now I think he may be about to pass out.
Oh, God.
I see, yeah, yes.
Well, what is it? What's the problem?
They want to know why you've been sick. Are you ill?
No, I'm not ill. I just ran here, that's all.
No, he's not ill. He does smell of drink, though.
Oh, great. Thanks a lot. That's really going to swing it in my favour.
I'm sorry. They say that apparently you and your wife are separated.
She is. I'm not.
And she already has her sister Judith there as her birthing partner.
Oh, God, not Judith. As if childbirth isn't painful enough. Look, OK, it's fine. I understand. I'll call round later. So maybe. And then I walked slowly round the corner and jumped in the lift up to the labour ward. I imagine that everyone must be looking at me, but I should have known that in a maternity hospital everyone's too preoccupied looking at the babies. When I got to the labour ward, I was confronted with a big scuffed metal door with a security buzzer on the side. I hung around for a while, pretending to study the poster that said, "How to examine your breasts," and a passing nurse gave me a very strange look. Eventually, the ping of the lift announced the arrival of another expectant father who emerged clutching a large bundle of pre-packed sandwiches that he'd bought in the shop downstairs. Excellent. He was heading for the door to the labour ward. All I had to do was befriend him and then follow him into the inner sanctum. Ah, the famous sandwiches.
Well, I didn't know what sort of filling was best for a mother in labour, so I got a selection.
Cheese and pickle?
Oh, that's the only one I didn't get. I'll go and change this for a cheese and pickle.
No, don't worry. Egg and cress is even better. I mean, in fact, some people think that cheese and pickle increases the chance of a cesarean.
Really? Blimey. Oh, thanks for telling me.
And he buzzed and gave his name to the intercom, and he was in. And so was I. I saw a door and had a hunch that this was the room Catherine would be giving birth in. Oh, sorry, wrong room, I said to the naked lady climbing into the birthing pool. I put my ear to the next delivery room. I could hear a man's authoritative voice.
No, darling, everyone knows that cheese and pickle increases the chances of having a cesarean.
At the end of the corridor was the nurse's desk, and I decided that there was nothing else for it. I walked confidently past in search of some clue, and there on the wall was a large white board with the room numbers and all the mothers' names scrawled underneath. By room number 8, someone had scribbled Catherine Adams in blue felt tip. Adams with 2 D's, like we were the Addams family. And as I caught sight of myself in the mirror, that mistake suddenly seemed quite appropriate. Hello, Catherine. You're having a contraction, aren't you? You're not just doing that because I've turned up.
What the bloody hell are you doing here?
Catherine asked me to be her birthing partner.
Oh, hello, Judith. I didn't know the hospital was on a ley line.
Oh, stop it, Michael.
Catherine, I need to talk to you.
Oh, yes, well, that's fine, because I'm not doing anything particular at the moment. Ah!
That's good. The pain is good.
Catherine, listen, I've worked it out. I know what I was doing wrong.
Oh, congratulations.
I thought you were always angry with me.
I am angry with you. I'm completely and utterly disgusted and appalled by you.
I know. Well, obviously you are now, but before, when you were fed up with being the mother of small babies, I thought you didn't love me anymore, and I think that's why I kept running away to my flat.
I've got a wet cloth.
Oh, that's appropriate. What is that smell?
Essential oils.
Well, they're not essential, though, are they, Judith? I mean, for thousands of years, women have given birth without essential oils. Completely bloody superfluous oils would be a better name.
Shut up, Michael. You lied to me and you deserted me, and then you think you can just turn up here and everything will be all right again. You're bored with being on your own, so now you'd like another spell of being a dad until you get bored with that again, where you can just get stuffed. Oh.
Catherine, everything you say is true, but you were the one who wanted the kids so soon, and I pretended to want them too, but that was only to keep you happy. I mean, everything I did was because I was trying to make you happy.
Oh, I see, yeah. Living up in your flat was to make me happy, was it? There's me thinking this was all about you being a selfish arsehole, and now I see that I was the one who was getting everything my own way.
Hang on, what's that noise?
What?
There it is again. What's awful? What is it?
It's my whale song tape. It's to help Catherine relax.
Well, that's working well, isn't it?
Actually, Judith, could you do me a favour?
Yes.
Could you turn off the stupid bloody whale song tape? I'm filling up like a big fat whale as it is.
Catherine and I then argued back and forth while she had the distinct disadvantage of being well into the first stages of labour. In the end, I gave up trying to grovel because it was getting me nowhere, and I thought I'd try going on the offensive. Offensive being the operative word. Well, you drove me out, so you owe me an apology.
I owe you an apology?
Yeah.
Do you really want to know what I owe you?
Well, all right.
Ow!
And she punched me with all her might in the middle of my face, and I went down like a felled tree, hitting the back of my head on the metal gas and air canisters, which were there for pain relief, and which really hurt a lot. And then she had another contraction, and Judith pressed the emergency call button. For the birth of my first 2 children, I'd felt strangely spiritually detached from it all. For the birth of my third, I was physically removed by 2 burly men from hospital security. I rang the labour ward and gave them my mobile number, but as the morning gave way to the afternoon, I began to give up hope that Catherine or the hospital would ever ring. Hello?
It's me.
Catherine, is that you?
It's
Sorry, I didn't get whether it was a boy or girl.
3 o'clock this afternoon.
Right. Are you both all right?
Hello?
Sorry, look, it's a terrible line. Can I come and see you?
Sorry, you'd better come up. I have to talk to you. I persuaded them to let you now. They've put me in second floor.
10 minutes later, I walked in to see her slumped in a chair in a room off the ward with a little Perspex crib beside her.
Hello, Michael. I'm in the TV room.
Right. Well, where's this little girl, then?
Boy.
Oh, sorry. It wasn't a very good line. boy. Little brother for Millie and Alfie. Wow. Oh, he's so perfect. Look at his little eyelashes and his little nostrils. And, oh, God, he's so perfect in every single way.
And I'm going to be a good father.
He's not yours, Michael.
I'm going to earn a lot of money.
What?
Well, I better start thinking.
He's not yours. You were never there. You were never there.
Something happened to me tonight.
How do you know? I mean, who else did you...
Klaus.
Klaus?
Well, I was lonely and we shared a bottle of wine and, well, I don't know.
How do you know it's his?
Well, I just do. You can have a DNA test if you aren't convinced, but till then you'll just have to take my word for it. This is not your child.
When my father left,
You walked out on me for deceiving you, and all the time you were carrying somebody else's baby.
Stop it.
my mother, they said she couldn't.
Does Klaus know? I mean, did you tell him before he went back to Munich?
No. This child has no father.
What do you mean?
I turned and strode out of the ward, the anger building up inside me.
You're leaving?
After Catherine had walked out on me, I dreamt that this baby might be the only thing that could bring us back together. Now it had blown everything completely apart. This little boy hasn't got a father, but he has. I can be his father.
What you saying?
But this is Millie and Alfie's brother, so why can't I be his dad? This is the child of the woman I love. I wasn't there for my own two, so I'll be there for this one. I know how a child feels when it's abandoned by its father. Let me be this little boy's dad. Let me show you that I can be a proper dad to Alfie and Millie too.
Lunchtime.
Sorry, excuse me, could you just give us a minute? Catherine, I'll be there when you're bored and fed up and you just want someone to moan at. I'll be there when you're worried about him. And even if I don't think it's anything to worry about, I'll sit and listen until we've talked it through. And I'll be there just to play endless games with him, pretending that I really enjoy jiggling little plastic Power Ranger figures about on the carpet. And I'll be there when, we're not doing anything at all, just passing the hours together, because now I understand what I'm supposed to do. And I know I can do it.
Have you finished now?
Yes, thank you.
It's meat curry.
Meat curry, how lovely. That's her favourite sort. Well, what do you think?
It's not what I want.
But just have to give us another chance.
No, meat curry's not what I want. Can you see if they've got a salad or something?
In a minute. Look, we can just sort this out first. Are you going to bring this boy up on your own, or are we going to do it together?
You can forgive me. Just like that.
Well, I was hoping I might be able to do a deal. Is there any little thing that I've done in the past couple of years you might want to forgive me for?
You'll always know that this child is not yours.
So what? You're right, I was never there, but Klaus won't be there for this one, and why should you be left alone again?
You are really prepared to bring up someone else's child as your own?
He'll never know he's half German, and now. Tell me, what do you think of the name Karl-Heinz Adams? It's a bit of a ring to it, doesn't it?
I don't know, Michael. Could you promise that from here on you will always be honest, that you will never again let yourself disappear into some stupid solipsistic fantasy?
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, if you can't be sure, then how can we have any future together?
No, sorry, I just don't know what solipsistic means. I was going to pretend and just say yes, but I am trying to make myself be honest.
It means that you have to realise that you are not the only person in the entire bloody universe.
Yeah, well, I do realise that, yes, and I just didn't want to promise not to be solipsistic when it sounded like some sort of eating disorder.
And that you have to realise from the moment you have children that they become more important to you than your own self.
They are, Catherine, I promise, all three of them. But you're more important still, because... Oh, come on, let's just start again. Please, Catherine, take me back.
Come here. Thank you for forgiving me. I needed to know that you would. If you're really prepared to commit to bringing up Klaus's son as your own, then you've got to be worth giving a second shot. And I forgive you, even if you still have one major flaw that I'll never quite get used to.
What do you mean?
Michael, if you actually believe all that rubbish about me sleeping with Klaus and then having his baby, then you really are an even bigger sucker than I always thought you were.
Our marriage was carefully nursed over the following months. We named our new baby Henry, It had been my suggestion, and when I told Catherine my reasons, she was delighted with the choice.
Henry Adams speaking.
Dad, it's Michael, calling from the hospital. Catherine and I are back together, and she's had a little boy that we want to name after you.
Oh, that's a good idea. Because I've got some old Henry Adams name tags somewhere I could let you have for him.
Catherine and I stayed with my dad for a few weeks until we managed to rent somewhere of our own.
Henry, I've just given your larder a bit of a tidy. There's one or two things here that are a little bit out of date.
Ooh, powdered egg. Where'd you find that?
Well, I just shouted the war is over, and it staggered out blinking from behind the tin prunes.
I have to celebrate you, baby. I have to praise you like I should.
After we moved into our new home, we treated ourselves to a weekend away in a family hotel, all 5 of us in the one room. And in the morning, as ever, I was awoken by the sound of children. They jumped into bed with us, and we put on the television, and they cuddled up between us. And a familiar ad came on the screen. Nah, I've got it already, thanks, mate.
What are you on about?
The best a man can get. Yeah, it's just when I was trying to have it all, that was like a sort of personal maxim of mine.
That's not how I understood it at all. It's not. The best a man can get, as in get for himself and grab. It's the best a man can be. The best a man can become.
Oh, right. Well, I thought it was a bit of a bold claim for a disposable plastic razor. Catherine, can I just ask, what would you have done if I'd failed your test? If I hadn't come back and committed to being the father of what I thought was Klaus's baby.
Well, I would have contacted Millie and Alfie's real father and got back together with him.
We watched the rest of the ads in the hope of catching a new commercial that featured a brief appearance from Catherine. With some encouragement from me, she'd contacted her old agent and started going to auditions again. And soon she got a small part in an appalling sitcom that stretched her acting abilities to the limit when the writer asked her whether she thought the script was funny. The amount she was paid was insulting. It was far more than me. And when she was away working, I'd take my turn at looking after the kids. Sometimes the filming even involved overnights, and so I'd find myself alone with the children for a couple of days at a stretch, being woken up throughout the night and still having to look after them all day. I'd have to put on all their clothes, feed them breakfast, try to prevent Millie and Alfie from throwing wet multi-Cheerios at each other while I changed Henry's nappy, get myself dressed while brushing their teeth, put on their coats and gloves, rush Millie off to nursery for 9 o'clock whilst pushing Alfie and Henry along in the double buggy, and always trying to maintain a loving, harmonious atmosphere in the home throughout. Well, 9 out of 10's not bad. Catherine's ad never came on, and an hour later I paid the hotel bill and we headed back to the car to drive to our new home.
See you again soon, Mrs. Adams.
Why did he say that?
Say what?
The hotel manager. Why did he say, see you again soon, Mrs. Adams?
Well, all those acting jobs I was away for.
And then Catherine giggled slightly and told me. None of her acting jobs had involved overnights at all. She'd spent all those nights on her own in luxury hotels like this one.
The Best a Man Can Get starred Mark Heap and Tamsin Gregg, with Dan Chambers, Mark Huckabee, Emma Kennedy, Nick Ostler and Roger Sloman. It was written by John O'Farrell, and the producer was Lucy Armitage.